ku nyanja oli kugaba disitulikiti naawe mbaayo nange ndi kujjukiranga nti victoria twali naye ne batugoba era ne batukomyawo. Victoria tuvudde wala. People thought we would never come back. People demonized us. Me, I'm very happy. Batuongereyo just ekimu natugamba baayi. Embiro kati eziriwo zetusookako baduuke abaana ennaku down. Yes, they have kept on the ground. Hey. Bagidukamu ate ne bakomawo baduka.
Omanyi? Bana kalimembo gaza.
network is on for now. I've
This one is
disconnected
off.
yours.
Yeah.
Yours is off, his is on. Oh.
Honourable members, Mr. Speaker.
Prayers.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you've committed to their charge. Amen.
Item 2 on the other paper, communication from the chair.
Thank you. So, honorable colleagues, I welcome you to today's sitting. And our Prime Minister is back, all the way from New York, where she even got an international award. So I hope she will share with us the details. But honorable colleagues, on a very sad note, on the 27th of September, we lost our former colleague, Honorable Onapito Komoloi, a former member of parliament for Amuria County. He was a distinguished legislator and leader, both in the political and private sector. He is a former presidential press secretary. We have heard that the president has offered an official burial for him. We shall be waiting for further details, and also to do further details to do with burial arrangements. It's really, really sad. Really, really sad. So I request you that we stand up and observe a minute of silence in his honor.
May his soul rest in eternal peace.
So, Right Honourable Prime Minister, welcome back. We've been handling very many issues, and I explained to the House how we were in touch throughout your travel to New York, where you represented His Excellency the President at the UN General Assembly. I don't know if you have any comment you would want to make, but I want to congratulate you upon the Leadership Award, Global Leadership Award you received. If you have it here, you can round table or show us. That we get inspired to work hard.
Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, I got information, and I remember informing Parliament some time back that the global women power based in UN or New York identified me as one of those inspirational leaders. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, I want to take this opportunity to humbly thank you for the support as Parliament of Uganda, and also use this opportunity to thank the President of the Republic of Uganda for appointing me in this position, and also appointing me through my various positions in my career. Honourable Speaker, the Global Power Women Award was given to me on 26 in New York. We were attending a conference of the global women, a big conference of many women. It was given to 10 women. Right, Honorable Speaker, some of these women, 2 are ministers, 4 are first ladies, and me, the Prime Minister. Right, Honorable Speaker, I asked a question when they were giving me this global award. I said, why me? Then they played the videos. There is when our country was hit by floods. And in Kayunga. So when we are going to Kawongo, the vehicle stopped like about 5 kilometers away. And we used a small boat. And then after that, the people where they were staying, there were no vehicles because they were cut off completely. And so I used the border. So they had that clip, which they played and said, service beyond self. Honorable Speaker, they also had another clip when we went to Ntoroko. I don't know whether my brother is here. Yes. We went to Ntoroko, and remember that time when we had people who were stuck in the waters. They had nowhere to go. All their land had submerged. And so we went there with a boat, and there was a crowing baby. So they had that photo when a crowing baby was on top of the water, and the way we were giving them support. So they also had that. They also had another one when I represented Mama, the First Lady, in Japan. And in that, we did a lot of communal work in Japan. So they also added so many other things. They are always following us, I didn't know. And so, members, I want to take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to lay on table this global award as an inspiration to other leaders.
Thank you, Right Honorable.
Allow me to lay on table.
Thank you. Right.
I want to dedicate this global award to a number of people. The President of the Republic of Uganda, the ministers and cabinet members, the Parliament of Uganda, including Semuju.
Thank you, Right Honorable.
The people of Kakumiro, my voters, who have always brought me here, I also dedicate this, Right Honorable Speaker, to the staff of the Office of the Prime Minister. The women of Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, I lay on table.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, it's not only that. They gave me this.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, this one is an award. And I request that I give it to him to read, so that people may think I'm reading my own words.
No, Right Honorable, it's yours.
Can I read?
Yeah, we trust you.
Okay, Right Honorable Speaker, the Global Power Women Award, New York 2024, to Her Excellency Robina Nabanja, Prime Minister of Uganda.
That's a real accent now. Eh?
You know, Right Honorable Speaker, I've been there and now. Global Inspiration Leadership Award 2024.
Thank you. Colleagues, you know we always celebrate our very own, and Right Honorable, we congratulate you once again. Right, honorable colleagues, once again, another cause for celebration as a country. Our very own Mr. Emmanuel Katongore, Chairman Quality Chemicals, was appointed a director for Rotary International representing Africa. That's so huge for Africa to have our very own. He's been so much dedicated serving the humanity beyond even, beyond self, beyond any expectation. So I want to take this opportunity on your behalf to congratulate Mr. Emmanuel Katongore for raising our flag very high. And I'm very sure he's going to be a very good ambassador for our country. Now, honorable colleagues, I know the Prime Minister has made us happy, but why don't we do matters of national importance? But before then, we have in the VIP gallery this afternoon a delegation of staff members from the Parliament of the United Republic of Tanzania. The delegation includes Mr. Magiri Gerard, Assistant Director Administration, Ms. Minja Asia, Assistant Director House Operations, Ms. Musangi Asia, Principal Parliamentary Clerk, Ms. Shirima Unique, Principal Administrative Officer, Ms. Musangi Nema, Principal Hansard Reporter, Mr. Komino Christopher, Principal Assistant Printer, Ms. Mbinga Sikudani, Parliamentary Clerk, Ms. Komba Veronica, Legal Service Officer, Ms. Jumbe Twaiba, Legal Service Officer, Mr. Zefania Dani, Legal Service Officer, Mr. Karingonji Ramadan, Hansard Reporter, and Ms. Mashimba Limi, Hansard Reporter. They've come to observe proceedings of this House. Please join me once again in welcoming them. Thank you. You're always welcome, our brothers and sisters. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have pupils and teachers of Princess Royal Nursery and Primary School, located in Aswa County, Guru City. They are represented by Honorable Korat Simon Peter, Honorable Awor Beto Chan, and Honorable Reka Sharon Barmoy. They've come to observe proceedings of this House. Please join me once again in welcoming them, Honorable colleagues. Thank you. Yes. Honorable Semuju, they've dedicated the award to you.
I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many colleagues, especially the new ones, don't know that the Honorable Nabanja and I have come from far. One day we will tell our stories. So I sincerely want to congratulate her. That's what I wanted to say, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Honorable Sarah, then Honorable Choma.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I take this opportunity on behalf of the women of this Parliament, together with the men, and the women of Uganda, since we are their representatives in Parliament, to congratulate the Right Honorable Prime Minister for receiving this global award. Mine is to thank you for putting Uganda on the global map, because this event was a global one, and people came from different countries and witnessed you receiving this award. I want to thank you for the great work that you are doing for this country, and to encourage you to continue serving humanity and serve with distinction. This is my appeal to you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. I want to thank you for the open door policy that you have in your office, because when you get to her office, she's actually available. I know that there are some people, when you get to their offices, they are too big, you will not even see them. But thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister, for keeping that that open policy, open door policy, something that I also did when I was serving as a minister. Yes, and I don't want to blow my trumpet, Right Honorable Prime Minister. I also received a global award some time back. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you. Honorable Choma, Honorable Huda Wareru.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. In the same vein, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate our own, the Right Honorable Speaker, and also congratulate Mr. Emmanuel Katongore upon the appointment. Right Honorable Speaker, when such events happen, they don't just stop at that, because like the Right Honorable Speaker has read, I think there were 5 personalities who were recognized, and the Right Honorable Prime Minister, from her submission, she has said 5 personalities were recognized. And the General Assembly is normally attended by very many personalities from different spectrums. The fact that she was recognized among the 5 and awarded to that effect, it is not only an achievement to her, but actually an achievement to the country. And that one elevates us in terms of political ranking and in terms of democracy. So because of that, I want to congratulate you, Right Honorable. I want to congratulate Uganda, and want to encourage you to do more as we actually emulate you. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Huda Wareru.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving us opportunity to openly congratulate the Right Honorable Prime Minister. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I want to join others to congratulate you for receiving that global award. There are millions of leaders in the world. Now that you have been identified among the men to receive that, you have indicated or you have shown your capacity to work, not only for Uganda, but for the whole world. You are doing a work of humanity. You have raised the flag of women high. I want to thank you. You have shown to the world that the women of Uganda can work. And you have also proven that when the Commander-in-Chief and the President of this Uganda identified you among the many women in Uganda to take that leadership, that he made the right choice. And when he described, when he was given his speech to the new cabinet he put in place, and he said, this time I've nominated or selected the fisherwomen and fishermen to work, he was talking biblically. And you have proven that indeed he has done the right work. We want to thank you very much. Keep it up. I know there are many challenges, there are many hurdles, but you have overcome them, so continue to build that confidence. The work you are doing, you are a mentor to all of us as a women. When I sit in my office and in the TV, I saw you are in Yumbe, I saw you are in Karamoja, I saw you are in Kanungu, I saw you are everywhere. I feel ashamed to sit in that office. I get out and I also call my people that please let me go to the office. So indirectly you have been training the women to follow you. We thank you and we are not going to let you down. We shall continue to give you the support, and I'm encouraging the whole Parliament to give you the support so that you do more than what you have done for this country. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Matters of national importance, Honorable Josephat Tumwesije. Colleagues, I have an order paper to run.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, but you allow me at least 30 seconds to also add my voice in congratulating my Prime Minister for information the House that she's not only a woman member of Parliament for Kakumiro District, but a resident of my constituency.
Prayers.
My prayers is that the prayers on this submission, not on the matter of national importance, is that The dedication she has made on this floor today reaches the people of Kakumiro through my voice, that she has recognized that the people who voted her in are a pillar to lean on. And therefore, for those who are listening in and tuned in, we have an award today in our district. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister, for representing us at that level that many people covet but may never reach. Thank you very much. On the other hand, I want to thank you, Right Honorable, for giving me this opportunity to stand in for the people of Uganda South on matters that affect them. Recently, hailstorm hit our people very badly. And the most affected sub-counties were Kakumiro Town Council, Kasambia sub-county, Birembo sub-county, and Patrick Chisengo sub-county. Very many villages lost gardens of food. They lost their houses in the hailstorm. And important to note, particularly one village of Nyamuha, 345 families were reduced to almost people who should be helped very fast. I wanted to use the word beggars, but quickly I changed my narrative. But these people need attention, they need help. A community school in Chedicho, village in Kasambia sub-county, lost a school, they need help. I'm appealing to the office of the Prime Minister to come in very fast, because I fast-tracked a report, and the report is already made. It contains even pictures of the level of destruction, devastation that was occasioned on my people. My prayer is that they get seeds, they get food relief, they get iron sheets to roof their houses that were demolished, and even the community school and the church. So I pray.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, I am aware that we had a problem in my district, in the sub-counties of Kisita, Narweyo, Kasambia, Birembo, Bwanswa, Kakumiro Town Council, Chitayuka, and Igayaza Town Council. I already informed the concerned. I also asked the COW to go and make an assessment, the District Disaster Committee, and I got a report today. It's unfortunate that I have been out. Maybe we could have had an interaction with my brother. I came on Sunday evening. Yesterday was cabinet. Maybe he did not get in touch with me. We shall handle, I promise.
Thank you, Honourable Beja Susan.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Allow me to begin by congratulating my sister. Congratulations. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm here on an urgent matter which requires urgent response. On the 10th of September 2024, a terrible hailstorm destroyed all the food crops in one of the sub-counties in Otuke, that is Orum, but destroying foods in 5 villages. The same incident also, Right Honourable Speaker, happened in Ogwere sub-county, that it destroyed food crops in 5 villages. My prayers, Right Honourable Speaker, as today we are celebrating the good work of our lovely sister, the Right Honourable Prime Minister. She has been everywhere. Even if you are not going, Right Honourable Prime Minister, please let your office provide these vulnerable people with some plant seeds or compensating these damaged food crops. They will celebrate you more. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Right Honourable Prime Minister. Maybe I can add on another one related, and you do all of them at once. Yes. I'm having Honourable Museveni, William.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. But Right Honorable Speaker, protect me. There are some attackers around here. I don't know what's wrong with the name Museveni. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm raising on the matter of national importance. Again, it is a hailstorm and violent winds were experienced in my constituency, that is Chenda Town Council and Chitenga Sub-County. A number of houses were destroyed, plantations were destroyed, people lost fallen houses. So my prayer is again request for food relief and an iron sheet. Another one, Right Honorable Speaker, I request the government to come up with a policy on tree planting. We are experiencing violent winds because people have cut the natural thickets. They are no longer there. Winds form and run a longer distance, destroying everything that comes across. We are losing the churches, we are losing the schools, we are losing the houses everywhere in the country. And Uganda has no capacity really, always to come in to combat the disaster. Why can't we plan and make a policy where every Ugandan can plant at least a tree every year? And we gazette a national tree planting day so that we can avert the situation, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, my sister from Matuke, I request that the District Disaster Committee gives us a report. We shall send the technical people to go and assess and see how to come up with the support that is relevant. Honorable Museveni Ndoli has given us a long-term plan. You know he's Museveni. A long-term plan, we need to plant trees, colleagues. Encourage our people to plant trees, to act as windbreakers, so that we don't destroy, the wind does not destroy all our buildings. I will also request that the honorable member gives us a report from the District Disaster Committee, which is chaired by the cow, and then we shall act appropriately.
Thank you, Honorable Kabusu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the night that made yesterday, passengers aboard a cargo transport boat were traveling from Lujaba Island to Bukakata in Masaka. Mr. Speaker, it was at night. This boat capsized. Only 3 people survived. Among those that have been identified dead are 6 people, Mr. Speaker. And it's a practice, Mr. Speaker, that it's a known custom with us fishermen that when bodies capsize after the 3rd day, the search on the bodies will start. Mr. Speaker, the prayer I want to make is that Uganda police this time helps my people to search for their bodies. They have been leaving it to the people, and in most cases making it hard to leaders. You have not helped to look for the bodies, to take them for burial. Government of Uganda should help in search for these bodies. Mr. Speaker, also, I would pray that the Minister of Works comes up with a plan. My constituency, Mr. Speaker, does not have a ship, does not have a ferry, does not have any government facility for transport, at least for once. Mr. Speaker, I've been a member of Parliament. This is the 2nd time, with a spell of 10 years in between. And now 20 years, Mr. Speaker, I have not persuaded the government to buy a ship or a ferry for my people. At least I should note that after next election is also to pledge that I'll ask government to buy a ferry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, Honorable colleagues, sorry about that tragedy. Let me first request that we observe a minute of silence for the victims.
May the souls of the deceased rest in eternal peace.
So, Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, my sympathies, because every life matters. I can see the Minister of Transport around, but because he does not have powers to direct, for me I have. So let me direct the Marine Police to go to Chamuswa and make sure that they assist the communities to exhume the bodies.
Search.
To search. Okay. To search for the bodies. So you can come and give us why you are not putting a ferry, not even a ship, on the waters. The Minister of Transport is here.
That's Honourable Kori. Procedure.
Thank you, Right Honourable. I want to thank the Prime Minister for the directive she's about to give. She's about to give. Okay, thank you for your correction. Right Honourable, I'm arising on the procedural matter. This very year, around March 27th, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Transport came to my constituency, and I want to thank them for that. They commissioned the construction of Natete Nakauka Road. On that same day, I actually told the Minister of Works of a similar incident that happened in my constituency a few months back, of a boat that capsized and close to 9 people perished. Now, would it be procedurally right that the Right Honourable Prime Minister makes the same directive, reminding the Minister of Works to send a ferry that he actually committed to bring to the people?
Thank you.
Of Busilos House.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honourable.
So the only directive made by the Prime Minister was for the search of bodies. So I don't know whether I should also tell her to order for a search of bodies, but she only called the Minister, okay, to come and explain why they have not put. But Honourable Minister, take it from that line. No, Honourable colleagues, please. The Minister is here, let him give us information, because he's in charge. Minister for Transport.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I also condole with the families who have lost their dear ones. And that is an incident which happened yesterday in the night around 8 p.m. where the boat hit a hard rock and it got damages down. By the time they realized, the boat was already full of water, and only one person who had the life jacket is the one who has been able to give us that information. And the current Right Honourable Prime Minister, we have already complied to your directive. The Marine Police, together with our staffs of Ministry of Works, they are already on site together with the locals to ensure they get these bodies. That side, we know it is an island. We already have a ferry there, but it concentrates on transportation of people. And the request by the honourable colleague to have a ferry at least which can cater for these fishermen. We are on for it, and we have already engaged you. That was around March, to advise us the ferry we are bringing, whether it is the best for these fishermen and we engaging finance to give us that budget, that now the Bukungu ferries are almost completed. Come next year, we shall be there on board. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable, Honorable, we had another colleague.
It's okay.
Honorable was, no, but I was watching you properly. You stood up on clarification. He refused. When you are still standing, you change it to procedure before resuming your seat. And these are your rules. So, so I don't know where clarification now has turned into procedure. But let him first, let him first. Honorable Esther, if it's connected,
yes, to what
the one of Matovu.
Thank you so much.
Is it related to Matovu?
Yes, it's related, Right Honorable.
Okay.
Right Honorable, being the Shadow Minister for Local Governments, and being that I also represent Busiro South, Busi Islands, yesterday, the chairperson of Busi Islands, it's a sub-county though full of islands, informed me, and he also showed me the picture, the ferry that was provided to Busiro South, to Busi, and it was commissioned by Ministry of Works. Yesterday, it was dismantled and it was ferried away. So our inquiry at this time, and even have the video, it was taken away yesterday. So at this time, I would request, through you, Mr. Speaker, can the Ministry of Works inform us if at the time of taking it or giving it to the members, because for some good months, it has been docked and they were waiting for some technical assistance for the. Can I get protection, Mr. Speaker?
Please, honorable colleagues, let's listen to.
So we wish to know. We wish to know, as people, as I represent people of Busi Islands, could we know where has the ferry gone? Because at the time of handing it over, you called all the leaders, all the local leaders were there of Busi, and they were informed that this is now the ferry that is going to be aiding all people in commercial matters and everything. So could we know what has happened and when is it going to be returned?
Can see the Right Honourable Prime Minister is coming to.
Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, today I had a meeting with the officials from the Ministry of Works, and that issue came. They told me that that ferry got a mechanical problem, and they had to go and fix some parts which were lacking. They wanted to give them a spare. We usually have a spare ferry for any eventualities. But that spare ferry currently is in a place called Pakwach. Because Pakwach apparently got a weed that came and covered that place, the bridge. And and now after removing that weed from the bridge, they will definitely bring, because they have, some of the parts are not in the country. They were fearing people can easily get an accident. So they dismantled it. They wanted to bring the other one to replace this as they repair this. But now that spare, yes, because it is new, but it came with, I think, some mechanical problems. So that's the answer I can give, because I got that answer today.
Honorable Semuji, was it related to that?
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, when we had the fatal accident associated with the owner of the facility, the late Tempura, I have forgotten the technical words. But government has a duty to make water transport safe by, first and foremost, I said I've forgotten the technical word, but periodically survey, I don't know if that word will I don't know what they do, but they are supposed to go and establish if there are physical changes in the lake or in the river itself. The minister earlier spoke about a rock. The last time that sort of inspection happened was during the colonial days. Even the law relating to water transport is a colonial law. The undertaking was made because at that time they hadn't even provided money to go and do that sort of inspection. So the point I wanted to bring to the attention of you, Mr. Speaker and Parliament, is that the moment you don't go to find out the shape in which the roots on the water are, it means you'll have more boats and more vessels hitting those rocks. What other people do is to do that sort of inspection, remove them, or advise people you don't use this particular direction. So can the minister, as he answers that there is a rock that was hit, tell us if they now have found money to go and do that exercise that was last done during colonial days?
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, I must say in May this year, we brought out a marine notice to all people who live along Lake Victoria. And on that notice, we also put an attachment, the no-go zone areas at night. If given time tomorrow, I can lay it on table. But these are people who are looking for survival. That's their business. And we even put in that note that people who are using the lake use it from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. with life jackets. It is detailed, I can let it tomorrow. But in this very case, the local are aware of it. And that attachment, that's one of the areas where we have been notifying our people they shouldn't go there at night, because even at night, the visibility for our marine officers, it is restricted. However, Right Honourable Speaker, this Parliament passed a loan from African Development Bank, and we have a comprehensive plan under that loan to ensure that we earmark all these obstacles, and now we can officially even improve on how we manage our boats on the lakes, including when you get an accident, do you just make an alarm, or there are other advanced systems in addition to what we have so that you can be rescued? And once that loan matures, we shall have that one as history. Thank you very much.
Honourable Secretary Ko.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The matter of national importance I'm raising, Mr. Speaker, it's about Ugandan kids who are at home, basing on the fact that at school where they go, they are required to go with NINI numbers. And those NINI numbers are based on their parents. And them, the pupil or the student themselves, they are also supposed to be registered with the students' registration numbers, which is turning to be a problem with no clear guidance, and parents are stuck. When they go to school, they assume that government to grant that capitation grant will be based on how students are being registered. And that one is bringing problems, and some kids at home purposely for that. My prayers, Minister of Education, to come up with a clear guidance to bail out parents who are crying for school fees and at the same time crying for registration numbers. 2, NINI numbers. 2, NIRA also to come up with a clear guideline which will help schools to save this situation, because it is alarming in conjunction with academic standards within our areas. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Internal Affairs will be guided depending on the information he gives me. I request that he puts it in writing so that I can conclusively handle that matter. It's not only in your district, it's almost countrywide.
Honorable Mapenduzi. Procedure, Honorable Seku.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. A while ago, Honorable Semoju said that the law on the water transport we have is a colonial law, and the minister seems not to have paid attention to that. But in 2021, this parliament passed the Inland Water Transport Act. So is it procedural right for us to maintain that on record, Mr. Speaker?
I'm just asking myself because if I'm to get what Honorable Semuju was meaning, is it about the law being update inland water transport or marine, specifically the one for marine? Honorable Minister, can you clarify on that? Let me not disturb the minister. Let me cross-check with our technical team. Let our technical team guide me, and then I will. I'll give a ruling on that. Okay? Let me not disturb the minister. Honorable Mapenduzi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. You are aware that on 23rd of September 2024, the Ministry of Works and Transport temporarily closed Karumba Bridge to pave way for rehabilitation works on the old Karumba Bridge. As a result, traffic was diverted to alternative routes, including the Renkunye, Masindi Port, Apache route, where passengers use ferries to cross the Nile. Mr. Speaker, sir, this diversion has created a worrying situation on the ferry services on Masindi Port that requires immediate attention. Before the diversion, only about 10 to 20 vehicles would use the road on a daily basis. However, Mr. Speaker, at least 400 vehicles are now using that route daily, and only about 250 vehicles cross the Nile, while the rest of the vehicles have to wait for a day or days. Mr. Speaker, this is because the two ferries on Masindi Port are small, old, and not in good mechanical conditions. The official time for the ferry operations is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., but with this new pressure, Right Honorable Speaker, the operators work up to 10 p.m., and those extra hours are considered voluntary hours. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are already a few instances where the ferries have developed problem in the middle of the water, and you can imagine the risk, panic, and pressure that the people face. Right Honorable Speaker, I therefore pray that one, the Minister of Works takes an immediate action to deploy bigger and modern ferries on Masindi Port to match the current traffic demand. Number two, the Minister of Works should introduce night shifts and motivate the operators by paying them for the extra hours on job. And finally, the two ferries currently in operation should be improved on and put in good mechanical condition to safeguard the lives of the citizens. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister for Works.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. On Sunday, I was in the same place he's talking about. We have removed, we had one ferry there which was a bit smaller. We removed it, replaced it with another one, which is bigger than the other one. We went ahead and added another ferry, so now there are two there. And our people operate from 5 a.m. up to 10 p.m. in the night. And the two ferries which are there, as I speak now, they are able to manage the number of vehicles which are crossing from that side. And should the need be, there are many vehicles. We have capacity to add another bigger ferry more than that. But meanwhile, yesterday the president also directed the prime minister, we should add another ferry, which was there in 1960s, which is crossing from the Tua Road, but that very Masindi port, currently the situation is normal, vehicles are crossing, and by the time we close at 10 p.m., we don't leave any vehicle unattended to. Maybe what we can look at for those who come after 10 p.m., between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m., the space arrangement which we can give to them, we can look into that. We deploy officers who can work between those hours. Thank you very much.
Next item.
Item number 3 on the order paper, bills first reading.
Honorable Rumo, Richard.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me also to congratulate the Prime Minister. At least this is the first time I've seen her here very happy than ever. Right Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Rule 128 of the Rules of Procedure, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2022 be read for the first time. 24. Right Honorable Speaker, in compliance with Section 76 of Public Finance Management Act, I think you can hear me clearly. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the certificate of financial implication for the bill. I beg to lay.
Thank you. The bill is referred to the Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. Should be processed in line with Rule 129 of our Rules of Procedure.
I thank you.
Thank you.
The Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2024.
Thank you.
Item 4.
No, just wait. Honorable Guzuri has a procedure matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've perused through the bill which has been laid here, and Rule 117, Sub-Rule 3 requires that there must be a memorandum that outlines the policies and defects in the existing law that must be signed by the mover of the bill. 117. And when I peruse through this bill, it is not signed by the mover of the bill. And that means there is a bar to entertaining this bill at this point. 2, Mr. Speaker, Rule 56 provides that a member wishing to move a private member's bill that is provided for under our Constitution shall give notice. I gave a notice to amend the Administration of Parliament Act. That notice was received by Parliament of Uganda on the 29th of August 2024. To date, I have not received a feedback on whether my rights, which are guaranteed in the laws of Uganda, can be adhered to by this Parliament. I'm seeing another private member being provided with assistance, being provided with the certificates, whatever is needed to bring his bill here. I'm now wondering, do I and the private member also have the same privileges in this house or not? Mr. Speaker, Rule 232 provides that any papers that are laid here shall be inspected. And the Rule 227 also provides for record of Parliament. And under Rule 227, sub-rule B, that the clerk shall have custody of all these documents. It would have been good, before I impute improper motive on the administrators and the presiding officers, that you allow me inspect. If this member moved or gave a notice to the House earlier on to warrant that he should be entitled to opportunities that I'm not entitled to. Therefore, I move, as far as this motion is not signed, the objectives are not adhering to the rule I cited earlier, it should not be entertained. Mr. Speaker, the issue of adhering to laws in this Parliament, they are very, very important. Why do I say that? Section 39 of the Administration of Parliament Act, as amended, requires that there should have been an annual report brought to this House by Parliament. That is not.
Honorable, your issues are very, very clear. Okay. Yes. Honorable Arion.
But the ruling on the procedure.
Yeah, they need to rule on mine first.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
It was gazetted.
Right Honourable Speaker, as my colleague has stated, the Constitution of Uganda, Article 95, and when you go to the rules, Rule 121 and Rule 122, provides a member of Parliament the mandate to raise a private member's bill. Right Honourable Speaker, based on those rules and the Constitution of Uganda, I raised a bill which the notice is coming for the amendment of the Administration of Parliament Act in relation to voting of parliamentary commissioners. I gave a notice to the Speaker's office last year in October 17th. Since last year, October 17th, up to date, the Speaker has not responded to me. This is a sign of dealing with the matters selectively. We are entitled to be heard. Honourable Speaker, what is so special with this amendment of Lumu, which was generated in Gulu just within a month, and it is now on the order paper? Are you fairly ruling this country? Are you fairly ruling this Parliament? Honourable Speaker, I think we are running out of hands, legally. I think the Speaker among is taking the law into her hands. Right Honourable Speaker, listen to me. Listen. It's my right to call you by any name. Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable colleagues.
Right Honourable Speaker.
Just a little bit, Honourable Arion. Our rules are very, very clear, and I discussed it. I told you the other day, your rules, they don't allow you to discuss the conduct of the Speaker and all that unless you do it through a substantive motion. Okay, so I request you, let us not personalize issues. Just raise your concern, and then I guide how we are going to address your concern. Yeah.
I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you.
Right Honourable Speaker, I have raised this matter My bill came in 17th of October last year. The same person who is trying to amend the Administration of Parliament Act just generated his bill within a month, and it's already in the order paper. Is that being fair? Right, Honourable Speaker, secondly, I have a second matter. On Tuesday last week, on Tuesday, you know, my mind is about my emotion of last year. Right, Honourable Speaker, on Tuesday last week, you made a ruling here. Right, Honourable Speaker, your ruling, I believe, was on a member's submission. Honourable Oduru had a submission here. Upon his submission, you made a ruling. And the ruling you made was in relation to our petition that was challenging the commissioners to be impeached. Right, Honourable Speaker, our petition has never appeared on the order paper. Our petition has never been raised by the mover, the motion has never been raised by the mover, has never been seconded on this floor, has never been debated. So you made a ruling on a statement by somebody, not on our motion. So we are kindly requesting you to put our petition on the order paper, the motion in the order paper, and we debate it. We are begging you.
I know I've had. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Two things. Honorable Odur, Oguzuri, and Honorable Arion. Indeed, your rights as members are protected. You have a right to move private members' bills. Kindly, let's may receive yes, and then we see how we can we put you on the order paper. Okay. Okay. Yes. No. I will receive them again. Don't mind to say you already. Please. I will receive them again. Okay. Don't get tired. I have a lot of business which can be pending, and then I will ensure it is scheduled on the order paper. Number two, with regard to Honorable Rumu's bill, the bill was gazetted. We got a certificate of financial implication, and it is ready. Now that's not for me to answer. A reason being, I'm not a mover of the bill. So the moment it is ready, first reading, I just do, and the bill, any bill that is ready for first reading, it doesn't wait for a day or two. So how a member quickly processes, okay?
Well, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Having listened to the issues raised by our two colleague members, I just wanted to inquire from you. Yes, I just wanted to inquire from you, the presiding officer, whether one, the two members gave notices in accordance with the Rule 56, and two, whether they have already moved the motions to bring their private members' bills. And if they have, and we have passed the motions, I just wanted to alert the members that when we are passing the Public Finance Management Act, we included in Section 76, which gives you an automatic certificate of financial implication if the Minister of Finance does not give it to you within 60 days. So I would want the members, if at all they brought the motions and the motions
carried the day and they have not yet gotten the certificates from the Minister of Finance, then they invoke Section 76, where you get the certificate of financial implication by operation of the law.
Thank you. I just wanted to also clarify on that they are not yet granted leave. So they put in requests for their motions seeking leave to be put on the order paper. And that's why I said I'm going to link up with them and we put you on order paper so that your motions can be heard. Honorable Arion raised several issues. Now, you know, these days after Arion has submitted, then it is such cool. They are so close they can even share a white ant. You know, they are very, very close. Now, yes, just allow me to finish ruling on what my brother Arion raised earlier. Yes, Honorable Arion, on the earlier ruling which I made here, by reading the speaker's letter, which had already been communicated. Before an item is put on the order paper, we ensure it conforms to the requirements of our rules. So the moment that we invoked a rule which my brother Jonathan Adur disagreed with and he respectfully made his submission, we found the motion could not qualify to go on the order paper. Now, that's a ruling of the presiding officer, but our ruling can be challenged in case one is uncomfortable with it. Instead of us continuing to argue about it, and yet I cannot do much now about it when we've already made that ruling. Yeah. Honorable Seskubo? Oh, there is no one on the floor. Order? Point of order?
Order. Thank you, Right Honourable.
I might be out of order, Honourable colleagues, allow me.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. With the due respect, Right Honourable Speaker, for the last 1 month or so, we are seeing the same two members taking time every day after your communication. Some of us also have issues to raise and burning issues, but we are seeing the same people day in, day out, on the same stuff which you have ruled on. Right Honourable Speaker, is it in order for only two members to continue raising the same matter on where we have also concerns which affect our country, affect our constituencies? I have raised here the matter of the student loan scheme, Right Honourable Speaker. How unfairly they have been distributed up to now, and the students are about to report to the universities. And ours who are disadvantaged are going to miss, and none has responded here. But I have not behaved like the way they have behaved. Right Honourable Speaker, do you want us to reach that level? Because we also have the capacity to, no one has monopoly of being continuously on this paper. No one has monopoly of being unruly. We are all capable of being unruly, and we can do it. So Right Honourable Speaker, is it in order for them to continue behaving the same way, and we allow them?
Thank you.
I have been listening to you. I have been listening to you keeping quiet.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Cooper. I got you. Now let me just ask you, Honorable colleagues. Okay? Honorable order. Let me ask you, Honorable colleagues. Do you really enjoy treating each other this way on a national, prime time? Your children are watching, the country is watching. We have a lot of pending business to sort out, and we just exchange this way. So I request Honorable colleagues. No, Honorable Seskubo, wait, please. Wait. Honorable colleagues, I urge restraint, okay? At the end of the day, they are judging us all. I urge restraint. Yeah, let us not put our house into disrepute. Okay. So, I get you, your concern, Honorable Cooper. I know I get your concern. But let me finalize with Honorable Sechkubo on this.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm greatly and deeply disappointed, but I'm not surprised by my colleague with whom we joined this parliament in 2001, but apparently whereas we have both become...
No. Honorable Sechkubo, let me first guide you, okay? The Honorable Semuju stood up on a point of procedure which was not Honorable Semuju, the Honorable Okupa, which was addressed to me, okay? And I guided. So let us not again now start provoking each other. Hey, no, just submit your point. You had already come up on your own point. Please go for that.
Right Honorable Speaker, what the colleagues Honorable Guzuli and Honorable Audrey Alion have raised goes to the root of our rules of procedures. And as Parliament, we cannot unfortunately act outside the rules. And once we are all equal in this house, the duty remains with you, the presiding officers of this house, to guide. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. It is surprising that we as members of parliament, what do? Right Honorable Speaker. The first issue we requested, we begged for your indulgence, the indulgence of the chair, to debate matters when they had surfaced up. At that stage, we were seeking your indulgence. But when the indulgence was not forthcoming, Right Honorable Speaker and members, we went through the rules. And the rules provided us with the way out of this. And Right Honorable Speaker, a third of your members here seated, a third of your members, a member can raise a motion or a private member's bill as an individual. But pity us who go through and with members, and were able to have a third, more than a third of members to support a matter. And this should go to the root of your chair. How do you treat your members? Before we know it, some member just under a month raises a motion. He's given privilege to have it. But for a third of the members of this honorable house are denied a matter. And lastly from me, I'll take the information from Honorable Sasaga.
No, but Honorable, you don't have that so much luxury.
Okay, the last one I want to take, but he's
please conclude, Honorable.
He's capping on this, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the information I wanted to give a member that not only are pending signatures on the petition, but members had to travel distances upon distances. Even others had even sick people in their homes. But for the good of sanity, for the good of dialogue and the discussion, we had to sacrifice whatever it took to come and put our signatures. That's the information I was given.
Thank you. Time up.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Sechko,
I'm concluding.
No, please. Listen, once you donate your time, you donate yours. You don't get any other time. Please. No, please, don't tell me about rules providing. The moment you use your time, you decide to donate part of it, okay? Yeah? And the problem is, listen, the problem is one. When someone is talking to you, okay, you don't want to listen to him. When you are talking, you want to be listened to. That's the challenge I usually get. And these are the double standards we've been talking about.
Right Honourable Speaker, I believe you derive your powers from the chair. We, the petitioners, do not say that we are right, you should rule in our favor. But we say whatever we did, the matter should be put on the order paper, you rule against it, and it goes on the Hansard from the chair. But by someone, or like myself, sitting somewhere to write a communication, that's why you are here, to give your ruling in chair. Your power and mandate.
Thank you.
Put it on the order paper and rule even against us, but you must conclude the procedure in one way or the other, and we shall rest our case, Lord Speaker.
Thank you. Now, Honorable colleagues, let me once again repeat myself. The ruling was read on the floor, and it's on the Hansard. Okay? The ruling was delivered on the floor, and it's on the Hansard. And what I want to tell you is that this matter is a closed matter, and we shall not put it on the order paper once again. Honorable colleagues, I have received information from the Minister for Health requesting that we handle these matters early next week. And also the Deputy Attorney General is handling the matter, item number 5, is handling interviews for the judiciary. So we are going to handle item number 6. Next item.
Item 6 on the order paper, motion for adoption of the report of the Public Accounts Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises on the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Uganda Revenue Authority account for the year ended 30th June 2023.
Chairperson Kosase.
Right Honourable Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable colleagues who are standing, I request you take your seats. Honorable colleagues who are standing, I request you take your seats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
My last request to honorable colleagues who are standing is that you take your seats. Thank you. Honorable Segona.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I begin, permit me in accordance with the rules to lay on table the minutes for meetings that give rise to the 4 reports that have been placed on the order paper. And these include URA, Uganda Revenue Authority account, Uganda Revenue Authority corporate, Uganda Investment Authority, and the National Population Council. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker, I also beg to lay on table the reports in issue. And before I proceed to read the reports, first, permit me, Mr. Speaker, to also join colleagues in congratulating my very own friend, the Right Honourable Prime Minister, for winning and receiving the prestigious award I want to, in addition, thank her for her humility, which has been demonstrated, especially when she mentioned having represented the Minister of Education in Japan. Some people might laugh, but to me it is humility that the Prime Minister can represent her minister. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, let me proceed to the report. Indulge me, Mr. Speaker, having uploaded the report, not to go into the conventional chapters, but proceed to the core of the report. In which case, with your permission and colleagues, I will not go into methodology, introduction, document review, and meetings which were held. The observations made by the committee.
Point of order. No. You also had order.
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Segona is a distinguished lawyer. He knows that the Prime Minister supervises ministers. Just recently, the Minister of Defense invited the CDF as a guest of honor. He's junior. He also invited the Prime Minister as just one of the other guests. The good thing, the Prime Minister was not around. She sent her deputy, Honorable Nakadama. And the Honorable Nakadama duly invited the CDF to address the gathering. Is the Honorable Segona a distinguished lawyer? In order to validate something he knows is illegal, that a junior cannot summon or even salute the supervisor, and he wants it recorded and left on our Hansard, as if, because this parliament is watched by students, by children, is in order to validate something is illegal, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Segona, are you in order?
The other day, Mr. Speaker, you received an opinion from the Deputy Attorney General. And I want to take this opportunity to educate my brother, the Honorable Semuju, that an opinion is neither right nor wrong. It remains an opinion. For me, all I said is that I salute the Prime Minister for her humility. I did not go beyond that. And I said it's an opinion. Now, a lawyer will only give an opinion upon instruction. So if my brother, the Honorable Semuju, had asked me for an opinion, which is a professional opinion, upon instruction and payment, I will issue one. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker.
That's how you sort friends.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for your guidance, which is wise as ever. We did make observations in relation to the financial statements of Uganda Revenue Authority, collection accounts, and these observations are found on pages pages 8 to 9. The first is that there is a low tax to GDP ratio. Namely that the tax revenue to GDP has averaged 11% over a 5-year period up to 2023, below the regional average of 18%. And we recommend that URA improves tax effort over the medium term to achieve the domestic revenue mobilization strategy targets or even better the regional peers. The second recommendation is that government diversifies tax revenue sources to cushion the economy from revenue shortfalls that could result from external shocks. Mr. Speaker, with respect to performance of VAT, the committee recommends enforcement of IFRIS to all eligible taxpayers to increase the tax revenue collections. URA should roll out IFRIS after extensive and comprehensive sensitization of the taxpayers. With respect, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, to tax on gains, profits, fees, and licenses, the committee recommends an investigation by the Auditor General in the returns filed by betting companies during the financial year to ascertain the actual collections to be conducted. 2, with the recovery of companies to profitability, government should revisit all companies benefiting from tax waivers with a view to scaling down tax exemptions over the medium term to benefiting companies. Number 3, government should regulate rental pricing of properties to improve occupancy rates and sustain the real estate sector to generate sustainable return to the economy. With regard to the performance of the petroleum revenue, that is NTR, the committee recommends a reconciliation of NTR collections from petroleum activities prior to the next audit. With regard to revenue due to the consolidated fund account, the committee recommends that Uganda Revenue Authority statement on the revenue collections due to the consolidated account should be amended to reflect the actual expenditure incurred by the authority during the period, and that the residual amount of Uganda shillings 82 billion 856 authority should be netted off the consolidated fund, and this will avoid the overstatement of the amount transferred to the consolidated fund. With regard to revenue stock arrears, Mr. Speaker, the committee recommends that URA develops and implements an arrears collection strategy to collect all outstanding arrears prior to the next audit. All government entities with tax arrears should be prioritized in the next budget cycle after adoption of this report. On the performance of revenue collection, Mr. Speaker, the committee makes recommendations at pages Mr. Speaker, we make a thorough financial analysis from pages 15 to page 20, and we make the observations that the entity which was non-committal regarding the stage at which the reconciliations are done, indicating the stages that vary, and there was no reconciliation with the Accountant General's office between the global government resources and revenue at entity level to prevent distortions in reporting. The committee also observed that the final adjustment of Uganda shilling 62 billion, the total revenue collection declined. The amount that remained after adjustment should not fully meet the budget financing threshold, and we recommend, therefore, that the committee recommends that the accounting officer should ensure that reconciliations for the period under review are done to provide an accurate picture of the global government as well as entity resource status. Analysis of revenue collections for the last 3 years, Mr. Speaker, is provided by the committee at pages 20 to 21, and we make an observation that during the period under review, the authority received an unallocated tax revenue worth 2 trillion. The entry of revenue into the URA system was without tax heads, which was attributed to the slow process of onboarding the tax heads. However, there was a global position of NTR as a target for the comprehensive reporting that takes care of the unallocated tax revenue. We recommend, therefore, as follows: that the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should set realistic and attainable revenue targets for each NTR collecting agency of government to minimize budget distortions. Going forward, number 2, the Honorable Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should require only any NTR or tax remitting institution or organization to go through the URA system. With regard to domestic taxes, the development of IFRIS user components, soft and hardware, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, we do observe at page 24 that the rollout of IFRIS was overdue, whereas it should have been rolled out at the beginning of the financial year under review. The registration of taxpayers onto the system is envisaged to end by June 2024, or to have ended, and rollout begins July, or should to have begun July 2024. 2, that the inadequate taxpayer education amongst the population and resulted into apathy and resistance against the new VAT collection modality. This was not met by serious efforts to deepen taxpayer education through creation of awareness and sensitization beyond the major cities of the country, hence the low compliance. We recommend therefore as follows: 1, that the accounting officer should fast track the completion of the system to ensure the seamless functioning of IFRIS system and enhance the tax administration efficiencies. Number 2, that the management of URA should invest in voter education to increase tax compliance and improved revenue collection, which was the objective of introducing IFRIS. Management of tax arrears. We observe, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, at page 26, that URA had both actual and estimated taxes. This is because tax assessments are triggered by either delay or refusal to conduct personal assessment where an administrative assessment was conducted. Without structuring the revenue collection unit, it would be difficult to implement an efficient revenue collection strategy. Whereas there was some positive shift towards reducing tax arrears, Uganda shillings 4 trillion in total arrears and Uganda shillings 713 billion of debt arrears outstanding in government commitments still remain high. There was no involvement of the local government in the URA revenue collection efforts, as they were not onboarded or incorporated onto the tax administration to enhance collection efforts necessary for narrowing government arrears. The committee observed that there were...
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, given that the reports are uploaded, won't it be procedure right if the committee chairperson gave us the key highlights of the reports, of the report now, and then later on the key highlights of the observations, then the comments, so that we are able to discuss. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable, I hope you've taken note. Just.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've not only taken note, it's exactly what I'm doing. Except that one's summary may be something else to somebody else. But because I'm reading here, I am only reading observations and recommendations. I'm not doing anything else. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Recommendations at page 27. The accounting officer should ensure realistic and accurate tax assessments are conducted to achieve expeditious revenue collection. The authority should conclude the restructuring of the tax collection unit to enhance revenue collection in the country. The tax administration law should be amended to support tax administration efforts and prevent growing arrears. Finally, URA should incorporate the local government tax administration to ensure that tax collection efforts and narrow government arrears. With regard to tax assessment and payment on exportation of certain minerals, Mr. Speaker, we recommend that the Minister for Energy and Mineral Development should be held accountable for the loss of revenue due to absence of regulations. That follows our observations. On irregular exportation of unprocessed minerals, Mr. Speaker, we recommend at page 29 of the report that the accounting officer should adhere to the presidential directive banning the exportation of unprocessed minerals and institute measures to implement that directive. On inability to collect taxes on gold exportations, Mr. Speaker, the committee recommends at page 30 that the accounting officer should keenly follow up this matter with the relevant ministries and agencies until it is resolved. Mr. Speaker, on outstanding court cases, page 30, we recommend at page 31 that the accounting officer should improve the mechanisms to ensure accurate self-assessment by taxpayers, reduce the number of disputes, hence improving tax collection. Secondly, that additionally, the accounting officer URA should strengthen the dispute resolution mechanism to ensure accurate self-assessment by the taxpayers, improve tax compliance in order to reduce the number of disputes. And finally on that management should take stock of all tax disputes, reconcile the numbers, and make appropriate adjustments in its records. With regard to issuance of third-party agency notices, Mr. Speaker, the committee recommends at page 32 that the accounting officer should adhere to the DTD arrears management guidelines that require tax arrears to be referred to the Debt Collection Unit, DCU, for further management. URA management should also develop and utilize electronic notice tracking, TPAN notice tracking system to fast-track the taxpayer status of tax due to the authority to improve tax compliance in accordance with the regulations. On validated transit bonds, we recommend at page 33 that the Commissioner General should ensure that the state controls are consistently applied to minimize the risk and the likely revenue losses. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, we believe that by improving transparency in the petroleum activities, providing an enabling regulatory framework to aid collection of revenue from mineral exports, accumulation of tax arrears by government, reduction on reliance upon a business community for implementing the domestic revenue mobilization, and widening all the tax base, URA will significantly eliminate discrepancies in revenue generation data, revenue reporting, and improve revenue collection for sustainable economic development. I beg to move, Mr. Speaker, that this Parliament finds pleasure in adopting our recommendations. I thank you, and I thank the colleagues for listening to me, and the colleagues in the committee for the industrious work. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair Kosase. Now, Honorable colleagues, earlier on, there is an issue, I think, I don't remember, but Honorable Seku raised the issue of the law, which a Honorable colleague had said is colonial. And I said I'm going to consult with the technical bench. and I have been informed, we have the Inland Water Transport Act 2021, which provides for, among others, registration and licensing of vessels, safety of life and navigation on waters, prevention of pollution, and protection of marine environment and marine security. I think that's comprehensive enough to handle all marine-related issues. So let the Hansard team correct the record properly, that the law is not colonial. Yes, Honorable Odo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I heard the Honorable Semuju very well. Just like when a road is constructed, for the safety of the drivers, then they are marked and signages are put there. So what the Honorable Semuju was saying, that ever since the colonial times, that was the last time our waterways were actually marked under the colonial law. That was then. Until now, that process has not taken place, because in Lake Victoria, for example, it is possible to put navigational lights so that the captains of the ship and can then navigate through. The same thing we were requesting as people from northern Uganda in that crossing at Rwenkunye, so that the ferry can move throughout the night. If you put the navigation lights across River Nile, that ferry can work 24 hours. That is the record that he put. Not that there is no law, if I heard him correctly.
No, the issue wasn't that there is no law. But I remember he also talked of the colonial law. But then if the navigation was done before we amended, when we were still using the colonial law, then Honorable Semuju would be right. Otherwise, the minister has not updated us if there is anything that has been done since this law of 2021. But no, I don't want to open up this issue, Honorable Kurix, please. I know issues of water. Honorable K, I was looking for you the other day when we had the fishing community. You would guide me over. But Honorable Kurix, please, let's go back to what we are doing. Now, I propose that we also receive item 7, since it's also URA. Okay? Then we debate both of them together. I know one is on account, another one is on corporate services, but they are closely related. And we have a deadline of this week to finish all these accountability committee reports. So I would want us to move as fast as we can to handle them. Yes, Honorable Semuju?
Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether that was a ruling or you were advising, because if it is a ruling, then my hands are tied.
No, I want us to go to item 7. We debate them together.
So that...
Yes. I think they are closely related, and it can help us save time. Thank you. Honorable
Item
Clark?
7. Motion for adoption of the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Uganda Revenue Authority Corporate Services for the financial year ended 30th June 2023.
Honorable Chair Kosase.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Permit me to adopt the minutes I have already laid on table in accordance with the rules, and also permit me, colleagues, to proceed with in the same manner of giving summaries of observations and recommendations. With regard to Uganda Revenue Authority Corporate Services, the report is as follows from the committee. Mr. Speaker, at page, you know, I have a colleague who signed where I put the pagination, and consistently so. Mr. Speaker, with regard to the over expenditure on the part of URA, the committee does recommend that since URA's over expenditure was irregular and the accounting officer's explanation could not absolve the entity, the PSST would have been the right person to sanction the accounting officer on that person, and we recommend so. However, him being a board member of URA,
Procedure, Honorable Do.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. At the beginning of this sitting, you did, in delivering one of your rulings, you had indicated that before any document or any matter comes here, you would have perused and you are convinced, and therefore that's the reason why it comes. On the order paper, Mr. Speaker, item 7 is on the motion for adoption of a report of the Public Accounts Committee on the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Uganda Revenue Authority corporate services for the financial year ended 30th June 2023. That is the matter we are dealing with. I would like to ask that the report be flashed there so that you can see the point I'm addressing. It is the first time in this parliament that I hope it comes. The cover page is the first time in this parliament that we are talking about a draft report. It has never been presented to this parliament anything in draft, and there it is, draft report of the Public Accounts Committee on the report of the Attorney General. This report has implications, both legal, and in this form, if we go ahead with it, the recommendations can be challenged and it cannot succeed. So I kindly ask you to make a ruling, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yes. No. Please. Yes. Yes. Thank you for being alert, Honorable Jonathan Odor. Yes, and I think as a person who perused, I didn't mind so much about this title, the heading. And you know, that's why on the order paper, we captured it properly. So, Honorable Chair, are you presenting a draft?
No. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank my brother, the Honorable Jonathan Odul. First, I concede that there's a mistake in including the word draft. But I'm sure it is chewed by signatures. There is no draft that is signed. It is not signed as a draft. I want to make a correction that it is actually the final report. The others actually can only be semantics and form. But in terms of substance, I want to confirm this is not a draft. It's the actual report. I've conceded. I think, Mr. Speaker, to make it simple, we can withdraw it and resubmit appropriately. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I feel we could remove the front page, since the chairperson is proving it is the right report. And then we make
let us not try to let us not try to improvise and yes, Honorable.
You, Right Honorable Speaker, if we are to find fault in the word draft, I think Honorable Segona.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, the colleague holding the floor does not actually see faults. That's how he ended up inviting his junior as a guest of honor at his function. And he embarrassed the Deputy Prime Minister. Can you imagine a Deputy Prime Minister inviting a junior of her minister to come and deliver a speech at his function, and his junior praised him as a good worker to confirm that actually he works for the junior? Is the Right Honorable Speaker a person who doesn't see fault in order? now to invite this parliament not to see fault where it has identified one. Is it in order?
Now, me, by the way, I wasn't scared of whatever Honorable Semuju was going to say. I was only scared of how he was looking at you. Because he had a lot of pain looking at you. Honorable, what's the issue?
It is very interesting. A person who did not attend a function, in fact, I didn't invite him, and is now trying to get at me. I had a private function that I invited many people, including people that I work with, but nobody that is from the Ministry of Defense was a guest of honor, for the record. And the Honorable Nakadama never invited anybody to speak. She spoke and she left, and I am the one who invited the CDF to speak.
Honorable, can you give us a full report of your party? And we put it as a substantive item on the other paper.
The full report is that bringing a private party, a function that where I was thanking God, to Parliament, that tells you how empty Honorable Semuji is getting. Is devoid of the substance.
No, honorable colleagues, I will not allow this to be now, an exchange between our two colleagues.
If I could
honorable, I just wanted, yes, your view.
If I could speak on the subject matter, that a draft is actually cured.
May I allow a point of order?
Okay, I can handle.
Mr. Speaker, I don't imagine a day when you will have a function and invite a staff of Parliament as a guest of honor. I don't imagine. And I pray that it does not happen. A Minister of Defense, the ministry is a public office, it's not a private matter. Your conduct affects the whole country once you are, that's why you go through vetting. The person who did something empty is now saying me who is raising it, I am empty. Is he in order?
Thank you.
For doing something empty. And then accusing me of being empty when I am just drawing the matter to your attention and attention of Parliament. Is he in order?
Thank you. House suspended for 5 minutes. We have a short break. Colleagues, let's resume. So, honorable colleagues, let's stand on item 7. We start debate on item number 6. Honorable Nzima, Honorable Paparu, Honorable Christine, Honorable Guzuri, and Honorable Pea.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to start the debate with the observation by the committee. And first of all, I must take this chance to thank the chair and the committee members for the report. Mr. Speaker, sir, in his observation, the chairperson said there's a low tax revenue collection. There's a low collection of tax. And one of the issues they brought about was the issue of sensitization. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think the element of sensitization is one of the things I support that URA should engage in. Many times, you find that they come up with assessments. Some of these assessments may be unrealistic, and this breeds a kind of resistance towards the activities of URA. So the element of sensitization, I support it, and I will also want to uphold that recommendation by the committee. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the factors that lead to low revenue mobilization and collection is also the selective nature URA uses in the collection of taxes. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is a tactful way of people evading taxes. I don't know whether it has been a recent kind of arrangement. The issue of tax waivers to foreigners, I have come to prove that there are many Ugandans who are not paying taxes. They connive with the foreigners to start enterprises. The face is either an Indian or a Chinese when the actual project belongs to a Ugandan. Because we favor these foreigners that we should waive off the taxes for them, sometimes tax holidays. So this leads to a lot of loss of revenue. But sometimes situations where we could raise a lot of revenue, we leave it, we go to people who can pay less taxes. So this brings about a low revenue mobilization. Mr. Speaker, sir, finally is the issue of assessment. There has been a rampant complaint from taxpayers that sometimes when you look at the assessment of URA, two people who are selling the same item may be assessed differently. One is assessed at a cheaper rate, the other one is assessed at a higher rate. This also breeds resistance, and also at the same time, it affects revenue mobilization. So therefore, on these two areas, I want to support the committee and encourage that these selective approaches should be stopped. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Paparu.
Thank you, Right Honorable
But
Speaker.
I've already picked the people to speak. I'm stopping there, then on the next report, I pick others.
Thank you. Yes. I also want to thank the committee for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, there's an observation on low involvement of local governments in tax assessment. This is very key. Right Honorable Speaker, in this House, we have ever reported the conflicts between URA and the taxpayers. And this comes about because of the limited involvement of the local leaders and also limited tax education. The assessments at times are not from informed point of view because the local leaders or the local governments are not involved. So when the assessments are not satisfactory to the taxpayer, payment becomes a problem. And this leads to the observation they have said that the disputes among the taxpayers and URA. These disputes are so much because the way URA handles their disputes, they are so strict, and because the local leaders are not involved, people are not satisfied with the assessments, you find payment of taxes becomes a problem. And that's why we see a rift, especially in West Nile. You see URA staffs always having problems or conflicts with the business people locally, and this has at times contributed to loss of lives, conflicts, and it reduces revenue base. So I want to uphold the recommendation from the committee that let local leaders be involved and let tax education be enhanced so that there's a good relationship between URA and the community. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Christian. Honorable colleagues, I've already picked the people to speak. Yes. Honorable Ri, Honorable Christian, Honorable Dakas, Honorable Kateshumba, Honorable Ababiko.
Right, Honorable Speaker. In the report, it has still come out that we have failed to raise revenues from some unprocessed minerals. And one of these minerals is gold. But Right Honorable Speaker, this is an issue that has the Natural Resources Committee, Environment and Natural Resources Committee, has always been battling with, together with some other committees here. Right Honorable Speaker, I feel we should find a way of writing off this issue, because we cannot keep complaining about the failure of Uganda to earn from the unprocessed minerals. And Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at areas, especially areas next to my place in Ichiboga, routes that go to the mining areas are really in a sorry state. And sometimes we are like, yes, we are advocating that the roads be constructed, but we are sealed off. We cannot critically say that this is the money that is got from here, and then we advocate for at least contribution to road maintenance. So, Right Honorable Speaker, it is also worrying us that if the unprocessed minerals have been stopped, the exportation of these minerals has been stopped, what is happening to the minerals right now? We are hearing, we have rumors that there is an institution now buying the unprocessed minerals, and then the miners are earning, but at the same time no revenue is subscribed to our treasury. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we need now the line minister to update us on the status of the unprocessed minerals whose exportation was halted, and how the miners are gaining out of this, and who is buying it, and how is the National Treasury gaining anything from this. Right Honorable Speaker, this is an issue that we need to really put at hold, because we have raised it on a number of instances. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Guzuri.
Mr. Speaker, the issue of low tax revenue should concern all of us, because the services we depend on must come from our taxes. But there's no way people can pay tax if the principle of tax benefit is not adhered to. When people pay taxes, they expect that certain services would be delivered to them, and that will be a motivation for paying more tax. What we are seeing in this country is much of the tax revenue gets stolen, and therefore there is low tax morale. People don't want to pay tax because they know at the end of the day the revenue will not come back to them in form of tax benefits. Two, we cannot continue to point fingers at URA when there are policy issues that must be addressed. For example, this country has signed so many double tax agreements with the other nations. And these double tax agreements stipulate the applicable tax rate to any beneficiary between these two countries or among these countries. And those who are always doing what we call treaty shopping, knowing where the opportunities are, will take advantage of that, and they will do it legally by applying aggressive tax planning. And as a result, we will be losing tax. Therefore, I want to request you, Mr. Speaker, that you direct the Minister of Finance or the Minister of Foreign Affairs to bring to this House all the tax agreements the government of Uganda has signed with other governments for our review, so that we can explore the opportunities and loopholes. Senegal did that. They reviewed their double tax agreements, and they were able to mobilize over $300 million, an opportunity we have lost over time. Mr. Speaker, I have also noticed that Uganda continues to lose tax revenue through illicit financial flows. And again, these illicit financial flows are enabled. And for us to deal with that, we must also deal with the gaps in our tax laws that facilitate these illicit financial flows. It is said right now Africa loses annually over 88 million. And how much of this do you think occurs in this country? We must be able to examine the laws. Lastly, recently, the Ministry of Finance released a report of tax expenditure report of last financial year. And it is said government forgoes 2.9 trillion in tax expenditure. That is revenue foregone when exemptions are given out, when tax waivers are given to supposed investors, without qualifying whether there are benefits coming from those tax expenditures. For example, we have seen supermarkets close, big multinational companies in this country close after exploiting the tax benefits. So it's time this government reviews and qualifies every decision they make on tax exemptions, tax expenditures, so that the benefits of our policies can promote more revenue collections. We are advocates for improved revenue collections, and that requires us to take measures. And I would want to invite the other committees of Parliament, especially Finance, to critically examine the report of the Committee on Public Accounts, so that we can be able to tap into some of the proposals they are making and resolve these issues at hand. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Agnes Appiah.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable, and the Chair, Osase, for a very good report. I would like to refer to page 8 that highlighted the tax to GDP ratio at 11% as compared to 18% of the regional target. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to also applaud the URA for the effort they've made. However, if you look at the domestic revenue mobilization strategy 2020 to 2026, their target was 16 to 18%. And they're 3 years down the road, still at 11%. And that should worry the country. That should worry us members who appropriate these monies, that actually we are not meeting yet. We are nowhere near our target that we set. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, for us to start talking about revenue mobilization, we got to look at some of the incentives that do exist. I would like to also interest our colleagues that most of these incentives that we normally refer to international businesses or investors are actually available for our local investors. Unfortunately, they do not have the knowledge of these incentives. So my colleagues have talked about the effort, more effort that needs to be put into raising awareness of our local investors and our local businesses out there, that these incentives do exist. And so I think the other aspect also is that much as we expect so much from URA, there is so little that they can do unless we actually invest in the URA itself. Because you can't expect to milk so much when you have actually not fed that cow. So I think as Parliament, we also need to interest ourselves, what is it that we need to invest on URA? Is it digitization? Is it increasing our tax base? Do we have to invest more maybe on the productive sectors? So that when we are talking about their performance, their low performance on this tax to GDP ratio, we are actually sure that we have put money where it is supposed to generate the revenue. In most cases, we only want to look at the revenue, but we fail to look at where this revenue should actually be coming from. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Please, honorable colleagues, on such a debate, that point of procedure is what disturbs me here. We've gone beyond it. So when I'm having a debate, I want to concentrate, okay? Because we are proceeding very well. Honorable Edakas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I probably want to start from the point of the exemptions. Mr. Speaker, why shouldn't we periodically evaluate these exemptions? Because I think the report highlights that these exemptions cheat us. Some of these companies stay here for 10 years. When they are applying, they take advantage of the government policy. But if you see what they do between the first year up to the 10th year, you see that there are gaps. So I think it would be important to evaluate periodically and assess these particular companies that we are giving exemptions. But relatedly is our own local investors. If our own local investors who give a lot when they supply to government in the works that they do or in the products that they produce, you find that government is very slow in paying them. So you find a company has supplied government for 1 year and they have not been paid. That way, we as government, we have both lost the tax, because if we had paid them the arrears, they would pay the tax. We've lost the tax, but also we have delayed them. So I think that would be important. The other is really the idea of diversification. There are few taxpayers in this country. The entities that are contributing are fewer. And if you look around, if you ask people who are in business, they tell you they are tired of the taxes. I think it's high time. At some point, I think this year, the speaker in this house actually suggested that we needed a robust discussion on revenue. The way we are paying for our budget, if you look going backwards, we are not doing well. But we haven't really, I feel like we haven't really confronted the issue of revenue mobilization adequately. The budget processes are too fast that we don't deal with ways in which we should raise revenue. And unless we stop and evaluate that and assess our own ability to contribute, our ability to sustain our budgets will remain low. So I agree with the committee that we need to think about how Ugandans can contribute to their revenue. Apart from a few businesses, we are losing businesses. If you go downtown, you see people open, they rent, 3-6 months down the road, that business has closed. You go back, you look at the shops, you realize this one closed, this one closed. And mostly it's related to tax. And I think the committee is spot on to say we need to diversify. Finally, Mr. Speaker, even our low-hanging fruits that URA should use. For instance, our systems are very slow. You keep hearing us talking about system failure. The system is not working. Even when a taxpayer wants to pay, it's difficult for a taxpayer to pay. Up to now, even just acquiring a TIN number, you need a third party. If you go up country, these digital systems are not serving even those who want to pay. So I think making sure that those systems that we use, the digital platforms, are user-friendly. Putting a container downtown Kampala here in the effort of EFRIS has helped to create not only awareness, but actually to bring more people towards using that platform. So I agree with the committee, and thank you.
Thank you. Now, Honorable, I just want to make it very clear. We have given ample time to the resource mobilization component, but the problem is we only look at the tax bills. Okay? I've never had any other proposal beyond tax bills. So, and I think really, indeed, we have to look so much deeper in our revenue mobilization strategy. But also when we are discussing here, I think it is very, very important that we should always finish tax bills. We look at proposals which we have rejected, and then we cost those proposals. Then we pass a budget minus those proposals. Because sometimes I have seen we reject some tax proposals which would have generated like 200 billion or 100 billion or 50 billion, but then continue and pass the budget, the whole figure. But you have denied it a source of financing. So how will you finance it? Okay? I think that's where we shall put a lot of emphasis. Then, Chair, the Honourable colleague has alerted me. Yeah, I think some of these errors I will tell Hansard to look into them. For example, on page 24, recommendation Roman 2, you're saying management of URA should invest in voter education. Okay? Yes. I know we have voters here, and our voters are taxpayers. Yeah, but the content would be different. Okay? Yes, Honorable Kateshumba, and then last Honorable Babiko. I picked the colleagues to speak when he was opening debate.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Chair for the report, and I have a few observations to add. The first one, Right, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of tax areas. The Chair has informed us that there are many areas, some of which arise out of government commitments, but I would have expected a very strong recommendation, because part of the areas are as a result of government areas, money that is owed to businesses that have supplied government. So if you have done business with government and they have not paid you for 2 years, but you have issued an invoice for VAT, it becomes due and you have to pay URA. So what do we need to do? Because people are borrowing money to do business and to pay tax, but they are not paid. So we need a very strong recommendation to government with respect to areas, because it will rejuvenate our economy if people are paid, and that money will generate more money. Second, Right Honorable Speaker, my colleague has talked about the system. The current URA system is 16 years old. 2008, and that system can no longer hold the tax population for which it was intended to be. For example, Right Honorable Speaker, at the time that system was bought, URA was not collecting NTR on behalf of many other agencies. They have been added on, including university fees. So government needs to invest in URA to make sure that they have the latest technology that can be able to assist in revenue collection. Some of the areas you are talking about could be system assessments that are not yet verified. So we need a commitment from government to support URA to upgrade the system so that we have a system that can serve the current population and the current needs. Right, Honorable Speaker, on the issue of NTR, over the years we have seen that when URA took over collection of NTR, the collections doubled. And so I want to call upon government that if there is any other agency that is collecting fees or other forms of, taxes, we need quickly transfer that responsibility to URA, including expanding the local government revenue collections to integrate it with URA so that they can be able to collect. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, you've talked about amendments. I think we need to amend the PFMA. We start here discussing the budget framework paper way before even half the financial year starts to the end. But we are left with very little time to consider tax bills. And that stampede makes us make the mistake that you have talked about, Right Honorable Speaker. So we need to synchronize. If we are discussing the budget, the surprise side, we must simultaneously look at the economic side, the income side, so that we make proposals which can boost the economy to be able to help us generate revenue in future. So that if we scrap down some of the measures, we do not find ourselves with a situation where expectations exceed the demand. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Babiko.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I support the recommendations of the committee. But Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, as people are talking about financing URA to help us to collect fairly adequate amount, I'm concerned about those who are paying taxes. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. Small as Germany is, the businesses that I knew when I was growing, they have collapsed. Many have died as a result of pressures put on them in the course of collecting revenue or paying taxes. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I am of the view that as we collect monies, let us also do assessment. Let's sit with those who are paying taxes, listen from them, and make use of their views. Because we have multiple taxes. Multiple taxes from one point to the other. And because of that, we have narrowed the base of taxation because the number of people who are paying taxes has reduced. So can we look at increasing the number of people who are paying taxes without killing their businesses? To Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the issue of sensitization is very key because not everybody who is doing business, who is paying tax is educated. And we expect them to perfectly manage the systems, do remittances, and this makes them at times default. I have personally taken people to URA. I want to thank URA staff. They are hospitable, they attend to their customers. But how many business people will get a help from individuals who are ready to take them to the headquarters? Therefore, I pray that they follow their programs of outreaches where they can talk to these people and educate them on what to do when doing their businesses. On the tax waivers, there is a lot of outcry of being selective. Few people benefiting from the waivers. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I pray that routinely Ministry of Finance brings report with clear justification on who is to be exempted and why, so that we can be able to disseminate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, I've no one on the floor. No one on the floor. Honorable, the rules are clear. Please, no one on the floor. Chairman is not on the floor. Honorable colleagues, I have listened to all your submissions. The issues you've raised in the debate are issues to do with the sectoral committee. They are not issues of accountability. So let the sectoral committee follow up on these issues, because on the ones of accountability I have not had any questions. I now put the question and the report of the Public Accounts Committee on commissions, statutory authorities and state enterprises, on the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Uganda Revenue Authority revenue account for the year ended 30th June 2023 be adopted. Those in favor say aye to the content. The ayes have it. Clerk extract the report and ensure it reaches the minister to bring here treasury memorandum. Next item. Let's do item 8.
Item 8. Motion for adoption of the report of the Public Accounts Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises on the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Uganda Wildlife Authority for the financial year ended June 30th, 2023.
Chair, 10 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Procedure, Honourable Aisha.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. As a matter of procedure, Right Honourable Speaker, may I know whether we have quorum that will facilitate us to effectively discuss those reports and pass them?
Yes, Honourable, for these matters we have. Thank you. Go on, Chair.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker and Honourable colleagues, I've already...
Honourable colleagues, let me first tell you this. This week, any report of accountability which won't be handled by Thursday, we are adopting all of them. We are already behind the schedule as per requirement of PFMA, which gives us 6 months. So even now I'm trying to accommodate so that at least we can pick views. But all of them will be adopted so that a treasury memoranda can go be processed, because it's an action taken report on recommendations of the Auditor General. So you're already behind the schedule, and I cannot afford to waste any more time on this. Chair?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker and Honourable colleagues, I have already laid on table the minutes in accordance with the rules, and this is a report of the committee with respect to the accounts of the Uganda Wildlife Authority for the financial year ended June 30th, 2023. Mr. Speaker and honourable colleagues, we have raised a number of observations and attendant recommendations. With regard to the observations, they start at page 7 of our report, and we recommend, with respect to the unauthorized excess expenditure, at page 8, that the committee recommends the accounting officer be cautioned against flouting the law on the authority's spending patterns. With regard, Mr. Speaker, to the non-provision of information on gorilla and chimpanzee booking and data in reservation office, the committee made observations at page 9 to 10 and recommended that Uganda Police should expedite the ongoing investigations to facilitate appropriate action to be taken against whoever is found culpable. The background, Mr. Speaker, is that there is an ongoing forensic investigation in the affairs of UA, as well as a police investigation to unearth culpability. With regard to unaccounted for funds, the committee makes observations at page 11 and recommends that UA should strengthen its internal controls to prevent financial loss. The committee also recommends that the unverified accountability should form part and the subject of the ongoing forensic investigation or audit. There are implementation of approved budget. Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, we do a thorough analysis of the figures at pages 12 to 13, and we make observations on the performance of internally generated revenue at page 13. We make, that is 13 to 14, and make recommendations at page 15 to the effect that 1, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in consultation with the authority, should always endeavor to set realistic NTR targets. 2, that with realistic NTR targets in place, the government should stop extending budget support to the authority and encourage it to reach a level of self-sustenance. Incrementally, the projection should be to enable the authority to provide financial contributions to the consolidated fund, just like other sectors. Number 3, the committee recommends that 2 laws be amended to bring them in harmony and achieve the desired goal of bringing all government entities within the purview of the Public Finance Management Act framework. And 4, that the committee recommends that the authority be given a vote status to increase its transparency. With regard to performance of government warrants, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, we make an analysis and observations at pages 15 to 16. Also, with regard to utilization of receipts, observations at page 16 to 17, and we make recommendations as follows. That UWA should comply with section 67.3 of the Uganda Wildlife Act, which requires that an entity spends within the limit of its approved budget and or through a supplementary request. Number 2, that the accounting officer should always ensure that UWA meets all the tax obligations as required by law to avoid future penalties. Implementation of outputs. Mr. Speaker, we make observations at page 18 and a recommendation at the same page to the effect that the committee reiterates the Auditor General's recommendation to the effect that the accounting officer should ensure that effort is always made to identify and address bottlenecks to the implementation of the planned outputs. Validation of employees and entity payroll, main payroll, we make, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, we make observations at page 20 and recommend that the query be dropped, it having been addressed. Inconsistencies in employee details, we make observations at page 20 and recommend at page 21 that the accounting officer should periodically update the employee records and payroll to avoid inconsistencies. Utilization of the wage budget, we make our observations at pages 21 to 22 and recommend that the accounting officer should always adopt prudent budgeting practices by using the positions and posts in approved recruitment plan as a basis for budgeting as guided by the Ministry of Public Service. 2, that UWA should institute mechanisms of addressing all recruitment bottlenecks to achieve optimal wage budget utilization. On review of the entity's staff establishment, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, we make observations at pages 22 to 23 and recommend 1, that UWA should improve on its staff attraction and retention policy in order to address the challenges of staffing gaps. And 2, that UWA should expedite the recruitment processes following government's clearance of its rationalization status. On delayed revaluation of the entity's assets, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, we make observations at page 24 and recommend that the revaluation should be done immediately to ascertain the actual value of the authority's assets. On accumulation of payables, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, we do make an analysis and observe at page 25 and recommend that UWA management should always make prompt payments to clear the outstanding payables as per UWA's Financial Procedures Manual 2016. And 2, that accountability for the accumulated payables be included in areas for verification under the ongoing forensic audit. On overdue receivables, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, the committee makes observations at page 26 and recommends 1, that UWA management should develop a debt recovery policy concerning concessions within 6 months from the date of adoption of this report. 2, that the entity should strengthen their debt collection efforts to recover outstanding concessions and receivables. And finally, 3, that UWA should terminate agreements or contracts with non-compliant concessionaires. On delayed disbursement and accountability of revenue share to local governments, Mr. Speaker, we make observations at page 27 to 28 and make the following recommendations. At page 28, that UWA should periodically sensitize and support the beneficiary communities in developing proposals in line with the set criteria so as to benefit from the grant and continue enforcing accountability in accordance with the law. Number 2, that accounting officers of local governments should submit their accountabilities in a timely manner so as to facilitate the smooth transfer and utilization of the shared revenue. With regard to failure to integrate other UA systems to the main accounting system, which we identified, Mr. Speaker, to be a source of fraud, we do make observations at page 30 and recommendation at the same page that 1, UA management expedites integration and rollout of the systems to all protected areas, and 2, that the board and management should review the authority's ICT strategic plan and prioritize the information systems. Delayed completion of the reservation, booking, payment, and park access systems, Mr. Speaker, we make observations at page 31 and recommend 1, that UA Contracts Committee should ensure that all contracts are executed within the specified time frame. 2, that UA should expeditiously install infrastructure that adequately supports an implementation of the reservation, booking, payment, and park access systems. Finally, that MFI document solution should be blacklisted from doing any business with any government establishment for at least 10 years from the date of adoption of this report. On management of concessions, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, outstanding concession receivables, we make observations at pages 32 to 33 and recommend as follows. 1, that UA management expedites recovery of outstanding receivables, and 2, that UA develops a comprehensive framework or policy on receivables management. On underdeveloped concession sites in the protected areas, we observe at page 33 and recommend at page 34, Mr. Speaker, that UA should review existing concession agreements in view of its implementation. 2, that concessions should be given a time limit to work in phases, and UA reports to Parliament on the performance of the concessions every 6 months from the date of adoption of this report. Number 3, that failure by the concessionaires to implement the concessions by end of the financial year 2023-24 should have their contracts revoked and advertised. On management of confiscated items from the endangered species, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, and this is a very, very dicey and sensitive matter, we make our observations at page 35 and make our recommendations at the same page that UA should strengthen measures geared towards mitigating poaching practices and the endangered species. Number 2, we concur with the Auditor General that UA should engage with relevant stakeholders with a view to addressing the matter. Mr. Speaker, we are cognizant of our international obligations and the sensitivity of this matter, and somebody reading the entire report will see where we are coming from in arriving at the structuring of this recommendation. With regard to the review of UA's litigation portfolio, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, we make 3 observations at page 36, and we make our recommendation that UA should conduct a thorough risk assessment on its litigation portfolio to guide its decision and pursuit of justice. And 2, that all agencies of government that are susceptible to high litigation incidences should always compile case status reports and prosecution reports to inform future engagements in court processes. Unimplemented procurements, Mr. Speaker, at page 36, we make our observations at page 37 and recommend at page 37 as follows. That the accounting officer should adhere to the procurement laws, plans, and timelines during the procurement. Further investigations be undertaken to confirm a possible mischarge and or diversion of funds by the entity. Mr. Speaker, it's part of the ongoing forensic investigation. The accounting officer should prioritize addressing procurement bottlenecks, such as recruitment in the requisite number of procurement officers and conducting due diligence in the capacity and efficiency of contractors. Other matters, Mr. Speaker, that came to the attention of the committee and were found to be important included the following. At page 37, failure to conduct due diligence on MFI document solutions as a software developer leading to loss of public funds. Mr. Speaker, the committee observed that the legal department of UA overlooked and neither advised management on the board to ensure that due diligence as an integral part of legality was observed. The failure by UA legal department and the Directorate of Tourism to have due diligence report as part of the ultimately led to loss of taxpayers' money amounting to Uganda shillings 180 million, including arbitration costs. The committee faults the two departments that were represented on the UA Contracts Committee for failing to provide technical guidance to the committee to consider due diligence as an integral part of the contract process leading to procurement of a company that specializes in hardware to provide software development and implementation. We recommend, therefore, that both the Director Legal Services and Director Tourism be held personally liable for the Uganda shillings 180 million loss caused by their negligence in providing the technical guidance in the procurement of MFI solutions as a software development company. 2, that due diligence is a fundamental check that UA should take seriously during selection of service providers to provide disruptions and loss of public funds. Procurement of business accounting central system, Uganda shillings 180 million. Our observation is captured at page 40, and we recommend that management should deploy tight financial systems and conduct periodic reviews, updates and upgrades to ensure that they are free from manipulation and mutilation. UA should procure only user-friendly systems, time-tested and efficient systems to avoid delays in processing services. Mr. Speaker, UA should embed the annual operating plan for systems in a single cost computation to avoid recurring payments that make the acquisition, operation and management of the system costly. Award of contract to non-VAT registered company. We made the observation at page 40 and at 40 to 41 and recommend that UA should recover the Uganda shilling 64,396,351 and remit the same to Uganda Revenue Authority as VAT payable. The committee recommends that UA and all agencies of government involved in procurements should observe due diligence in their contractual obligations and transactions before engaging suppliers to avoid retrospective recovery of funds from stakeholders. With regard to repairs of motor vehicles and equipment, 300 million wheel loader wheel loader of 380 million. The committee makes observations at pages 41 to 42 and recommends that the matter be referred to the forensic audit, which is ongoing. Procurement of the second-hand scanner at Kasenyi. The committee makes the observations at page 42 and recommends that UA should uphold the procurement standard of new and long-lasting equipment. Indeed, this was after finding that actually the vehicle procured was not the old model as complained by the whistleblower. Procurement of a flatbed self-loader vehicle, Mr. Speaker. We make observations at page 43 and recommend that UA should follow the procurement procedures in the award of its contracts for supply of goods and services. UA should also consider awarding contracts to companies registered and operating in Uganda. Procurement of firefighting equipment, 1.2 billion. The committee observes that the delay by UA to clear payment for the goods and services provided may lead to interest payable and affect the costs of supplies in the medium term. We recommend, therefore, that UA should always clear its payment for goods and services promptly to avoid any further expenditures arising from interest or related charges on the supplies procured. On payment of over 300 million for water connection to Lake Mburo, we make observations and recommendations at pages 44 to 45 that management of invasive species in the National Parks and Conservation Area, just a minute, pardon me, Mr. Speaker, we recommend that the query be dropped because it was satisfactorily explained. On management of invasive species in the national parks and conservation areas, Mr. Speaker, we make observations and recommend that this query still be dropped, having been satisfactorily explained. On questionable utilization of the donations of 100,000 USD to game rangers, the committee recommends that the ongoing forensic audit, which is being conducted, establishes the rightful beneficiaries of the donation, and therefore the matter be handled in that particular recommendation, in that particular audit. On poor handling of park access fees collected through mobile Airtel money, Mr. Speaker, we make observations that the particular matter is under forensic investigation, which was directed by the Speaker of Parliament, and we recommend that an expeditious investigation be carried out and concluded. In conclusion, therefore, Mr. Speaker, we believe that by strengthening the internal controls and deployment of adequate and watertight integrated reservations, booking and financial management systems, UA can ably avert a repeat of the similar fraud in future. With that, Mr. Speaker, permit me to move that the report of the committee be adopted. I beg to move. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Debate begins now. Honorable Bish, Honorable Kia, Honorable Katsoro, Honorable Malmoy, Honorable Workers. No, these are not issues of rope and who.
Thank you so much,
These
Right
are
Honorable
our
Speaker.
posts. Yeah.
I would like to thank the committee for the report. Although I have a few matters to raise here, because the recommendations, some of the recommendations which have been attached to the observations may be very weak. I'll give an example. The committee finds that there is unauthorized expenditure by the authority. Unauthorized expenditure would generally mean that there is fraud, because someone spends without being authorized. So if an entity like Uganda Wildlife Authority does not have the authorization mandate or spends without being authorized, some staff spend without being authorized, I would expect the committee to recommend recovery of some of those monies which have been spent without authorization. Right Honorable Speaker, in addition to that, the committee seems to have given up on its work, and everything is, they are saying it should be referred to the forensic audit that is taking place. As a committee, I thought they would have their own position on each of the matters that the Auditor General has raised, and where they think the forensic audit should be conducted, they should recommend so. But when the committee says this is being handled by the forensic audit, this is being handled by the forensic audit, as a parliament, I think we will have had a raw deal in this matter. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of the frauds in the permits was all over the media, and everyone knows what is happening in Uganda Wildlife Authority
courtesy of the media. There is widespread information about this matter, and although the committee has said the matter is the forensic audit is being conducted, there is a need for expedition because issues involving fraud and misappropriation of funds require urgent attention. But most importantly, Right Honourable Speaker, it is very key, and I support the committee on the issue of revenue correction being put under the consolidated account. Because these entities which are correcting money and spending at source, there's a lot of misappropriation happening, and therefore that matter, and maybe one of the MPs should bring a bill to ensure that these entities which are correcting money and spending at source should be abolished. Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Kia, 3 minutes maximum each.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Under the observation, I thank the committee for the report. Under the observation of utilization of UA receipts, the report indicates that UA spent over 4.7 billion in excess of their budget. And the reason that is given is because there was an outstanding amount on VAT that UA wanted to pay, but it also indicated that there was an under-declaration of payee that was discovered, and also a 720 million amount of under-declaration of income tax. I don't know how this income tax is imposed on UA, but for those of us who use the northern route to West Nile, even when Karuma Bridge was opened, because the road was so bad, a lot of us opt to use the route through the park in UA. And personally, I've been paying the amount just to go through UA to save my back. But the issue here highlights the issue that many businesses are struggling with. If a government agency like UA is failing to pay their payee, what about the businesses out there? If a government agency like UA is under-declaring incomes, it points to the report that we've just finished on URA. The same businesses are being taxed, and the pressure is put under those businesses. Therefore, there's an issue with the way that they're paying their payee and the tax. So I thought that this is an important point. If government themselves is failing to pay payee for their workers, what about the business people out there? Thank you, Right Honourable
Thank
Speaker.
you, Honourable Koryang. And Honourable Kasoro. Osoro.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Let me also thank the committee for this good report. And I want to address my concern to the issue of the conflict in the guidelines between the requirement that the local governments should submit proposals and thereafter account to Uganda Wildlife Authority as a requirement for disbursement of the next funds. And yet, this is delaying the process of disbursement of funds for the revenue sharing. I come from a local government that hosts Kidepo National Game Park, and the committee has clearly observed that there is delayed disbursement. There is a project that has actually stayed for 2-3 years before being implemented. And this is owing to the fact that there is conflict between the guidelines that OWA submits to the local government and the committee, that this project should go through the community procurement process, and yet the law on procurement requires that the district contracts committees should be the ones that should be actually awarding contracts in the local government. So somehow when the committee goes down to look at the observations, they state clearly that the requirement for the local governments to account to OWA is in contravention with the PFMA Act. But they become shy in the recommendations to state clearly what should be the recommendation that should be put forward to cure that inconsistency. I expected that the committee probably would mention and strengthen the point that going forward, then the local government should use the law that is provided instead of looking at the guidelines that.
Well, that's 3 minutes. Conclude, Honorable.
Thank you. I wanted to raise a second issue.
I know if he said
the staffing
let's
gaps
go to
in
Honorable
relation
Soro.
to problem animals.
No, I had said we conclude, so let's go Soro if it's another issue.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank the committee for the wonderful report. But Right Honorable Speaker, we have a problem of domestic revenue. When you reach in countries like Kenya, when tourists come to Uganda, they spend very few days. They go to Kenya and Tanzania. And that at times is brought by the poor services that are got in the game parks and wherever. Whenever you are entering, they don't allow you to go with it. All consumable products, they leave them out. But when you reach inside, the services are wanting. That makes us lose a lot of domestic revenue that would have helped this government. So I like also to make sure we don't lose any money as other countries like Kenya and Tanzania do. And also look at a subsidized price for the hotels, because hotels in Uganda are very expensive compared to those of Kenya and Tanzania. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Yakatonda.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the committee for the watertight report. Being that I'm a member of the Committee on Trade, I think the issues are representative of the situation. Right Honorable Speaker and members, tourism is one of the 4 key activities that the country is just settling for. After industrialization, agro-processing, digitalization, ICT, then tourism. And we're envisaging that we should move from $50 million and then go to $500. But you find that it is one of the underfunded entities. And I think we need real style up. Because if you are saying we want to move from this amount to this, we should actually look at these core areas. But then relatedly, Parliament came up with a law on negotiation among the workers called the Public Service Negotiating and Consultative Machinery of 2008. But we find that empowerment of workers is wanting in most respects, Right Honorable Speaker. We need to come up with the consultative committees, including in governments and these agencies. So it's not actually there. So when they talk of retention of staff being a challenge, it is very true, because we have not actually exploited these laws. Because this arises out of the Constitution under Article 40, Clause 3, where we talk of collective bargaining. But you go to institutions, you find that there is no collective bargaining. We don't talk about policy issues. We're not actually talking about rewards. Human social development policies are wanting. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I wish we could actually ensure that we look at these areas. This would actually help us grow, and even grow the agencies and then the economy. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Bangura. Followed by Honorable Sechanzi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, join colleagues to thank the chair and members for a good report. And I want to address myself to NTR. Right Honorable Speaker, NTR, now in many entities, the collection is a preserve of Uganda Revenue Authority. And how I wish the committee had strongly recommended that at the gates of the parks and other areas of Hua, we put booths or we put up collection points like it has happened in the universities and hospitals, such that we can boost up the collection of NTR. NTR that is collected and spent at the source is giving us a leakage, as highlighted even by Honorable Katesh in the first report that we discussed. When URA took over, the amounts doubled. So that should be considered, and it may help us. Then number 2, on implementation of outputs. Right Honorable Speaker, it is only through the outputs that you can feel service delivery. Now, when the entity does not deliver in implementation of some of the outputs, it means it falls short, and yet resources are warranted and even made available for some of those outputs that are supposed to be implemented. So in that case, I would have expected the committee to strongly recommend that entities that cannot absorb all the funds in relation to the outputs that are expected, their budgets be scaled down, because they are depriving other entities of money that would have been put in better use, considering that we have budget cuts that are at times coming across because of the scarcity of the resources. Right Honorable Speaker, at the airport, which is one of our main entry point of tourists, many times when we move out at
Honorable Nyanzi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my attention is drawn to the utilization of the funds. And I will very quickly also talk
Just let me make it very easy. Honorable colleagues, whenever we come here, you waste my 2 hours in arguments, okay? Here, listen. And yet I come having very clear agenda and business conduct. Please, when I go on such issues, allow me to proceed without interruption. Just sorry, Honorable Nyanzi.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the committee for the report, but the issue I was raising is to do with the unlawful utilization of the funds, and I noticed that the committee was a little lenient. The Honorable Bish has talked about it, but I want Mr. Speaker to draw the attention of the honorable members to, for example, on page 11, where you have 462 millions unaccounted for. Mr. Speaker, this looks like maybe small money, but this is big, because else outside you find Ugandans languishing in jails over small issues like goats, chicken, and what. So this is very important, that much as this amount is not accounted for, the committee said let it be part of the audit. I'm also concerned that some audit reports are never followed to conclusion, honorable members. It's very, very dangerous, because a report may come out and no action is taken. I would implore the committee perhaps to add on that where culpability is established, appropriate action is taken, but not just saying that this should be should form part of the audit. This is the same issue, Mr. Speaker, where the committee established poor handling of park access fees, and also the $100,000. Still, the committee is lenient. Let this be part of the audit. I'm more concerned with the outcomes and the action taken after the audit report than just the mere write-up. I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Gori, followed by Honorable Kisembo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm impressed with the committee pinpointing the issue related with concessions. What I would request the committee to consider, if these concessions, because concessions may be used for speculation, but more importantly, concessions may be used to deny others who would want to invest in areas which are profitable. So we should make sure concessions which are there must be utilized. If they are not utilized, give opportunity for other people to invest so that we can reap from the tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Noel Nixembo, Honorable Max, Honorable Soru, Honorable Atima.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to thank the committee chairperson and members for the comprehensive report. My attention has been drawn to the gorilla and chimpanzee tracking, where the correctness of the revenue and from this valuable resource cannot be confirmed, and the suspected fraud there too. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to support the the strong recommendation of the committee, and to add that the ongoing investigation should be expeditiously handled, and those found culpable should really be brought to book. But I also want to add that UWA and the Uganda Revenue Authority need to tighten seriously the monitoring system for our revenue, because we know that tourism is a very important resource and source of revenue for our country. I also want to add that the Ministry of Tourism needs to up the game in as far as marketing of this valuable resource is concerned. Like my other colleagues have alluded to, when we see in the region, Uganda has a higher population of gorillas and chimpanzees, but we don't get the corresponding revenue compared with other partner states in the region. And there are issues of infrastructure that are not handled properly, and also the marketing bit of it. So I want to thank the committee for the report, and I think the ministry needs to do a little more to improve on how we are tracking revenue from this sector. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Max Kuchai. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to thank the committee for a very good report. Generally speaking, the recommendations that have come out of the analysis are actually sound and robust. Specifically, Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about accumulation of payables. Mr. Speaker, arrears tend to arise largely because of the fiscal discipline. And here we have observed that over time, UWA has succeeded in knocking down the amounts payable up to the tune of 546 million, down from about 957. To me, Mr. Speaker, the recommendation of ensuring that the accounting officer of UWA ensures that the amounts not yet verified are actually verified and prioritized in the subsequent budget over the medium term is a good recommendation. And therefore I concur with the chairperson of the committee that we need to instill discipline in our accounting officer, particularly that of UWA, and ensure that we actually do not accumulate the arrears anymore. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Soru.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to thank my chair for presenting that nice report. However, listening to almost all the reports from Honourable, the one that was presented by Honourable Chivumbi, Honourable Namuga, now my other Honourable here, almost money is being used but not accounted for. All money is being diverted without anybody following. I'm wondering, as Parliament, what we're going to do about it. Because in almost all the PAC reports, you find money is being used without the signatures of the authorities. Now, Right Honourable Speaker, it is very difficult to debate a report where every time PAC is presenting and we're having issues with money being used without being accounted. Second, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to draw your attention to review of entity staff establishment. UWA has a staff gap about 1,187. That's negatively affecting the capacity of this entity to deliver its mandate. And they also know that UWA is having challenges with attracting staffs, especially from a distant conservation areas. And now I want to agree with the committee position that UWA should improve its staff attraction and also retention policy. I want to agree with that position of the committee, because I'm in the Committee of Trade, but we see it's normally in every meeting that we have with UWA, they are bringing this up. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Tima.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I thank the Chair and the committee for good report. Right Honourable Speaker, I draw our attention to the point of lack of internal control system with this entity, UA. Right Honorable Speaker, an entity or an organization without internal control system poses so many dangers. That's why these areas of collecting money from source or spending from source, unaccounted monies by the entity, funds budgeted, not utilized well or diverted. Right Honorable Speaker, lack of internal control system gives an opportunity for an entity not to use so many necessary documents that would allow this organization to control its funds and resource utilization. I therefore agree with the committee by recommending forensic audit, but my concern is, Right Honorable Speaker, which firm is going to conduct this forensic audit? And when shall the report come back to Parliament? Because many times we recommend, we pass resolutions like this, it never comes back to Parliament and it ends like that. So this is a very serious concern that a big entity like UA has no internal control system. Thank you very much. I submit.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, you see, the difference with this one is that there is an ongoing forensic audit. So any issues would go to that. But I had cautioned you earlier that forensic audits cost a lot of money. So when you order forensic audit, that same institution which is supposed to be audited is the one to provide the money. And they say they don't have the money in the budget. Okay? Yeah, so when you find they don't have money, the Auditor General submits a bill to the entity and says, I need 1.5 billion for a forensic audit. Now, will I suppress other items? I avail money to catch me? So I think going forward, in future, maybe when we are budgeting, we should always project, and we project that in a financial year we shall have like 10 forensic audits, and we budget for them at the Auditor General, so that we don't again expect him to go to the same entities. I saw some of them. Okay? Honorable Soke.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The district money representative for Madiokolo asked a very pertinent question. She's observing that the procurement at district level is tampered with and who wants to use its own. I want to guide that at district level, we follow the government's guidelines, rules, and regulations. So in the Local Government Act, there is supposed to be a district procurement committee. Any monies that come, be it USMID, be it LEX, Local Government Economic Growth, we use the district procurement committee. So there shouldn't be an objection. That's what the districts should use. And someone has just talked about the revenue of tracking gorillas being mismanaged. We introduced a system, and this system is scientific. The integrated revenue administration systems. This doesn't allow anybody to collect and put in the pocket. So please, when we discuss things, go and help in the districts. Otherwise, the cows are already aware. They meet every 3 months. We call them and we emphasize this. Maybe what I can do, Right Honorable Speaker, we can't get tired of advising. I will compel the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Local Government to issue another stringent circular so that rules can be followed. Thank you.
Thank you. These are also clearly straightforward issues. I now put the question that...
With your permission, Right Honorable Speaker, first of all, I want to thank colleagues for the observations made, but I just need to put a few things in context. Number one, for those colleagues that are concerned about the forensic audit, because there was an alarm, the minister ordered a forensic audit, Minister of Tourism. However, we were not sure that the minister's report would be submitted to Parliament and yet we were investigating the same issues. And that's how the Speaker of this House got involved and ordered another forensic audit. In effect, it's going to be the same audit, but we expect to receive a report in Parliament to allay the fears of colleagues. And that means, therefore, once an audit forensic is conducted, it will come here and we shall process it as Parliament. That's point number one. Number two, Mr. Speaker. With regard to those colleagues that are concerned that we kept referring to forensic. A forensic audit is a detailed audit. It shows who did what, other than making a blanket observation and a blanket recommendation. We want to know who is culpable for doing what. After all, the audit was already going on. To my honorable colleague, Honorable Ndiom Jenyi, otherwise known as Bish, the recommendation of recover should not be uniform and standardized. You're not talking about somebody who stole money and put it in his pocket. You're talking about somebody who did not follow a procedure but used the money for an entity's service. It was put to service. You're only saying you did not follow this, and because the PFMA requires that you do this, we are recommending that you do this. This is different from fraud. In that particular issue, Honorable Ndiom Jenyi, the committee did not establish fraud. And where we established that money was lost, that's where we recommended recovery. Reference, the other one, Mr. Speaker, I also wanted to clarify, whose money does not go to the consolidated fund. So you would not be talking about money that was not remitted to the consolidated fund. UA, by law, which we made, uses, utilizes, and spends its money with the approval of its board. Now, some of the issues that are being raised cross from accountability to policy, which is, in effect, another committee on the sector. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of conflict of laws, including procurement laws, which the Honorable Rusoke has been talking about, the issue that was raised as a pertinent, one, whereas UA insisted that we must first receive accountability before we release the next batch, the local governments were saying we do the accountability in accordance with the PFMA. We are not accountable to you. In other words, do not treat this as a donation to us. It is money we are entitled to by law. So that's the conflict of laws that we were talking about, and we believe that the recommendation we made is appropriate. Oh, I think I had forgotten something on concessions. Colleagues, if you interest yourselves in reading the entire background in the report, before the observations, through the observations to the recommendation, the concessionaires had a legitimate defense. That, you know, I signed a contract with you, the concession, in the year 2021. Through 21, almost to 23, I was not doing business. We were in COVID. So we need to revise. There are those that we singled out, which were lame, and we made recommendations that are specific. So we did agree that those that abuse, I think, Honorable Clay, those that abuse the concessions to be withdrawn, and we have made the recommendation which we would invite you to find pleasure in passing. I think, Right Honorable Speaker, those were the issues that were arising from the interventions of the House. I thank you.
Thank you. I now put the question that the report of the Public Accounts Committee on Commission, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises, and the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Uganda Wildlife Authority for the year ended 30th June 2023 be adopted. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Clerk, extract the report and please give it to the minister. We expect Treasury memorandum of the Treasury memorandum as required by the PFMA. House adjourned to tomorrow at 2 p.m.